What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, this is part 3 of my random invasions slash invasion build showcase. Now, in the event that you guys haven't kept up with the series, this is a 3-part series that basically does nothing other than, showcase random invasions and then just to talk about my own personal random invasions builds. Now, I have about 5 that I use the most, and these are those 5. Now granted, we all do a little experimentation, so I have others that I've created in the past and have deleted, but these 5 that have been showcased in this 3-part series are the ones that I have basically kept up with the vast majority of the time. Right? So out of the 5, 4 are soul level 105, and my last build, which is my hidden thief, is a 108. Alright, so before we get into the thief build, this is my pickaxe build, and it's basically a pickaxe build that focuses on the usage of the Leo ring, or if I'm in a ganker situation, or if I'm in a forest or something similar, I'll pull out the hornet ring. So I mean, that's pretty much it. Nothing really special about it. It's just a pickaxe, bro, using basic armor. I'm not even using anything strong. As a matter of fact, I think the only thing I have to kind of offset my weak armor is the giant's gauntlets. But other than that, you guys can see for yourself, I had the hollow soldier helm, breastplate, and leggings. Alright, so this build, like I said before, nothing really special about it. I think I have like 50 or 51 in endurance, which is the minimum for me to be able to wear the armor set that I'm using and the weapon that I'm using. Now, some of you guys may have seen that animation in the past, right? And basically, it only signifies a counter hit, right, at the time that someone dies. So if you have guys ever noticed that, just keep in mind that for some reason that's the animation that you'll see as a result of a counter hit. So like I said before, I have 2 variations for this build. In most cases, if I'm just doing 1v1, I'll just use the Leo ring, right, so I can get a little practice on my counter hits with the pickaxe. Now, bad thing about the pickaxe, I mean, it kind of sucks, right? Because I have a Leo ring build wherein I use a halberd, and another Leo ring build wherein I'm using the Balder side sword and the rapier. And those are cool, right? Because all of those weapons provides a good amount of reach. This weapon, on the other hand, which is definitely a thrust weapon, does not offer a lot of reach. So I mean, it kind of sucks. With regard, well, actually, I can't really suck. I'll just say that it is definitely challenging. Alright, so we're back at it once again, and just by looking at this particular character, I'm going to assume this guy has a hornet ring. For some reason, at least on PS3, it's kind of like that's the only thing they can use the great club for, hornet rings. Especially when you see this type of build with like Havel's chest, Mask of the Mother, hollow soldier's waistcloth. You can almost guarantee that they're going to have a hornet ring. And I know it's not necessarily fair to make an assessment based upon the look of your opposition, but I mean, some things just simply cannot be denied. There are some looks that are, well, actually there are some behaviors, PvP behaviors, that are consistent with certain looks. Now, is that a generalization? Of course it is, based upon my own experience. Now, obviously, a lot of you guys have your own experiences, but we're not talking about yours, we're talking about mine. And speak of the devil, he had a hornet ring. Why am I not surprised by this Joe Schmuck? Alright, so like I said before, this particular build has 2 variations. In most cases, when I'm just, in a 1v1 situation, I try to concentrate on counter hits with the pickaxe. Trying to learn the distance for the correct, try to learn the correct distance for attacks, especially counter attacks. because that's where you see the greatest benefit out of the pickaxe with the Leo ring. Right, so I mean, that's pretty much it. Really nothing special about it. Is a bandit as a starting class, and make no, I make 0 investments into dexterity and 40 points into strength. Other than that, I just stop at 45 in vitality, like the vast majority of my builds, and the minimum amount of endurance to be able to use all these pieces of equipment without a Havel ring. So that's just about it. Now, I know in some of these videos, you guys will notice me either shaking my shield or shaking my weapon. And a lot of times you guys may not really understand why I'm doing it. As a matter of fact, I've even, run into the Moonlight Butterfly Forest or somewhere else. And, after perhaps a minute or so, I'll just start shaking my shield out of frustration. And as a matter of fact, I did it. I think it was the first invasion of this video with me in the forest, right? The very first video wherein I'm in the forest, I start doing it. 9 times out of 10, I only start shaking my shield or my weapon out of frustration for 2 reasons. 9 times out of 10, because I usually don't make a habit out of doing it. Either the first reason, I'm experiencing a lot of lag and it's being extremely frustrating. The second reason is that I'm basically just dodging my opponent and they're almost never attacking. I absolutely hate that. I mean, it's kind of like, we're both here to fight. Either you invade it or you laid down your red soapstone summon sign to fight. But you're not even really doing anything but running around over and over and over. So in other words, I don't feel like I'm fighting someone. I feel like I'm chasing someone. Now I know some of you people will say, well, I mean, it's a legitimate strategy. I mean, you just have to be tactical with this game. Listen, tactical schmactical. If you're here to fight, then let's fight. If you want to play a cat and mouse game, I'll either suicide or I won't summon you again. Because I've even had guys I would I mean, just like right now. Come on, dude. I'm here to fight. I'm here to fight. I'm not ganking. I'm here all by myself. I don't have any assistance. So, if you notice that and you're here to protect the forest, well, come on and protect it. Because, I mean, that's how I play. Especially doing random invasions, in the forest. You guys, I have enough forest videos that, I mean, in most cases, if I'm running off, it's not because I'm trying to avoid a fight. In most cases, I want them to chase me, right? But on the other hand, if I get into a situation where I'm a forest hunter and I notice that the host and phantom are not going to chase me, then guess what? I don't play hide and seek. I say to myself, you know what? These guys are not going to chase me. So it looks like I need to go ahead and engage. So, I mean, I can understand some people say, well, actually it's a tactic that people use. Well, I can understand that it's a tactic that people use. But if you're, if you don't really have a goal to just running off, then why are you doing it? If you came here to fight, then stop just that constant rolling over and over and over and almost never engaging. That is so frustrating because, I kind of run into some of these guys a lot. And that's why, in most cases, I play with the alternate PSN. Because one thing that I've also experienced is that some guys, they'll say, holy camoli, it's the brigade. I know you're going to parry me, so I was being extra paranoid. I don't really like that. Play how you're going to play. Don't be extra cautious because it's me. And that's why I use a lot of my alternate builds, because no one knows who they're playing. So in other words, in most cases, you're just going to play how you would normally play and not with some paranoia based upon your perception of how I'm going to react to your own playstyle. Alright, so enough about that. That's my first build. Pickaxe. Pickaxe bro with a Leo ring with an option to using a Hornet ring in worst case scenarios. Alright, now, here's my second build. Actually, not second. Actually, second in this particular video. but the 5th in total out of all of the invasion builds that I showcased. This is my Hidden Thief, and this build is actually pretty cool, but it has a lot of limitations. Number one, it only has 21 poise. 21. That's not even enough to sustain a katana hit. Number two, I have 1500 in vitality. Now, why is that necessarily a con? Well, mainly because most of my builds have 1708. Vast majority of them. Right? It is very rare that I stop at 1500, but this is an exception. Now, on the plus side, this build uses weapons that specialize in critical attacks. So, as it is a thief that focuses on using the rapier and the bandit's knife, and every now and then a composite bow, I also have an option for the hornet ring. And, you know, that option is just open for whatever type of mood I'm in. Right? I don't always use it, but, I mean, there's a lot of times I do, a lot of times I don't. Like I said before, as with anything, with your own personal builds or how you feel like PvPing, it just kind of depends upon how you're feeling. Right? If you want the extra challenge, go ahead, take it off and try to duke it out with 21 poise, 1500 vitality, and I mean weapons that have ultra weak R1 and R2s. So, see, this is one of the big differences between using a hornet ring with weapons that I would argue were designed to use a hornet ring, you know, bandit's knife and rapier, versus someone who is using a hornet ring on a weapon that already has an AR of like nearly 650. I mean, that's crazy. Now, this is not to say that it isn't legitimate. It definitely is legitimate. But all I'm saying is, I mean, well, it is what it is. You guys can reach your own conclusions. Okay, so this build is my Hidden Thief. It's not necessarily an invasions build. Meaning, you know, I don't really do a lot of invasions, but when I do, I only invade in the Tomb of the Giants for this particular build. For the most part, however, this is my Gravelord build. And when I use it as a Gravelord build, I can basically take advantage of a lot of the support sorceries that I have. You know, the cast light when I'm here. Let's see, hidden body, hidden weapon. You know, there's that one where I forget what it is, but there's that one to where you won't take any damage if you fall, and you would ordinarily receive damage. I forget the name of that one. But all of the support sorceries I use on this build because I'm a thief. The goal is to stay hidden. The goal is to, you know, be seen. I mean, actually, not be seen, and try your hardest not to be heard. Right? So the rings that I use on this build is Darkwood Grain Ring for the speed. I have 21 poise on this build. Hornet Ring is an option. There's some kind of ring that kind of helps to make your footsteps silent. I forget the name of that ring, but that's one. And I use a fab ring every now and then, but not really. The only time I'll use a ring of favor and protection is if I'm going to put on my knight's leggings. And usually that's in a situation when I'm faced against a katana user. But in most cases, I just try to stick with the 21 poise so that I can kind of challenge myself. Because when you're forced to challenge yourself, that's when in a lot of cases I'll get better with the toggling and some of these other methods. But once someone with a katana, you know, a katana or a falcon or a gold tracer, you know, once they find out that they can basically break your poise after one hit, I mean, all they do is basically play like demons, like the vast majority of Demon Souls players. They just spam the R1, which is cool, right? So, I mean, in most cases, I have a plan B. Like I said earlier, 4 of my 5 invasions builds are soul level 105. This is the only one that's soul level 108, right? And that's because, perhaps because of the attunement slots and maybe a couple other things, but I think I have like 35 in endurance, 45 in, actually 50 in vitality, because in most cases I'm not using the ring of favor and protection, and you know, enough attunement slots for me to attune all of my support magics, and 15 in intelligence, because I think you only need 15 in intelligence to be able to use all of those support sorceries. So that's pretty much it with regards to this build. I won't really say that the pros balance the cons. I mean, it just is what it is with this build. It's definitely a challenge, especially with 21 poise, and when you're in situations that, I mean, you may find yourself in a 2v1. But like I said before, I do have a Hornet Ring, and in a lot of cases when I'm Gravelording, because actually I don't even know if I mentioned it, but this is basically my Gravelording build, and I only use this build in certain locations. I Gravelord in the depths with this build. I Gravelord here in this build. I mean, on this build. I invade in Tomb of the Giants. Let me see. Hold on. I'm kind of messing this whole thing up. This is the only location where I invade on this build. Most other cases, I'm Gravelording. I'll Gravelord in the depths. I'll Gravelord in the townships sometimes. It just kind of depends. And that's mainly because the township is kind of wide open, and a lot of people just expect that you're going to be right there by the bonfire. And, you know, in some cases, they really don't feel like looking for you. Right? So sometimes, you know, if I'm not right at, actually, I'm never like right at the bonfire, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of being a hidden thief. But a lot of times I'm kind of like where I was standing in the first video. Other occasions I'll be a little further down in the township, but in most cases I'm Gravelording in the area that's not all that big, you know, kind of the depths. And Orlando is another good one, and the Tomb of the Giants. Now, in the Tomb of the Giants, in most cases I'm just invading in the upper section, or this section. As you guys already witnessed with my cleric build, I usually just invade where Paladin Leroy usually invades. Alright, so that's pretty much it. This build focuses on being invaded, so that's why I Gravelord. Oh, and since Fortress, I also Gravelord there too with this build, right? Because it's not all that big, it's not all that spread out, and you know, once I notice that I'm being invaded, I can go ahead and set up shop either with my fog ring or my chameleon or oral decoy or whatever it is that I want to use. Also, in some of those areas, you know, there's a lot of places where you can BS people off of a ledge or off of a bridge or off of a cliff. And, you know, I think that's just great for this particular build. So that's pretty much it. This is my Hidden Thief. And the previous build is basically my Pickaxe Leo Ring build. Right, so in all, you guys have seen all 5 of my primary invasion builds. And like I said before, I have others that I've experimented with, but these are the ones that I've kept consistent for the longest. Right, and you know, if I just kind of experiment and come up with another cool build, then I'll go ahead and add that one to the roster. Alright, so I was actually really fortunate during this invasion, because I noticed that someone is Gravelording. As a matter of fact, they took my Gravelord slot, which is cool, because now I get to bring my little pit bull over here to get a little assistance. So we're good to go. Alright, so I was hoping that they would come after me since it's 2 of them, but actually they didn't. So, like I said before, I'm not going to play a hide and seek game. Well, actually, let me see. Let me see if they're going to come after me. And actually, they are. So we're good. And this is kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Hide and seek is only good if you notice that you're being pursued. If you're not being pursued, then it's probably best to come up with your B plan, because the goal is to fight. In other words, I didn't invade just to look cute, right? I didn't invade just to get on someone's nerves with the hide and seek. No, I invaded to engage. And the only time, you know, if you want to play this whole strategic route, the only time that I will play to a degree that chase me game is when I notice that the host and his phantom are indeed going to chase me. In other words, if they're not going to chase me, then why waste anyone's time? I mean, that's kind of defeating the purpose of invading, right? So enough about that. So, like I said before, I'm probably going to make this an ongoing series, and I'm going to start to showcase some builds from the wiki chats. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching my own invasions build. So, hey, until next time, Martyrs Brigade is